Okay, so once we've learned how to control our body and we can do the motion without the pedals, let's go on the pedals. Okay, we can develop this technique on practice pads or on bass drums. It doesn't really matter at this point of the practice session. So the first thing to do when we're on the pedals is to get used to deal with the force of the spring. So to get used to it slowly, we can start doing a leg motion or a slow motion anyway, which is not the correct way of doing it, of course, as we know, but it's a way for us to start dealing with the feel of the spring tension. So we can start slowly and increase the speed to a point where we will start shifting to an ankle motion. So this will take some time to get it done, because especially when you get to the point where you have to shift from the leg motion to the ankle, it's gonna be pretty difficult if you're not used to it. But as I said again, the first slow part allows us to get used to the motion, and then once we get to that speed, we will just have to try to control the ankle motion. Let's remember that the goal here is always to have the beater as close to the shoe as possible, rather than pressing down. So this is the first way to learn how to deal with the spring. So from slow with the not correct motion, but just to practice it, to a little bit faster, shifting from leg motion control to ankle motion control only. If this is too hard to understand and get it done, there's another way for starting this motion, which is always not the correct way to do it, but again, this is just going to be for a short time for you to practice and to coordinate the motion and deal with the spring tension, which is gonna put a little bit of pressure on the pedal in order to have the beater attached to the surface that we're playing on. And from there, let's start swinging with the mission of still having the beater coming as back as possible, so as close to the shoe as possible. So we will start from this position and then slowly get rid of the pressure and of the weight that we were putting on the pedal. But don't get used to playing this way, because this will hurt. So let's make sure that you don't then apply this technique pressing down or involving the leg. Okay, so this is just a way to practice it and to get used to the motion. I keep repeating this because it's very important for you to understand. Another good exercise that will help us to develop the swivel motion is to play one bar of heel up and one bar of swivel technique at the same speed, switching from one technique to another, so that we will keep the same feeling, but we will control the pedal motion with the two different techniques. So like this, for example. But to make sure that we're doing the right thing, we will add a third phase, which will be playing the swivel technique without the spring of the pedal. So let's get rid of the spring of the pedal, and let's try to do the same exercise of switching from heel up to swivel technique, playing one bar each technique, and let's see what happens. So playing without the spring will force us not to press with our leg or weight on the pedal, because if we do so, we will choke the rebound. So we'll make sure that this is not happening, and this is a very useful way to, let's say, make sure that we're doing the correct motion, the correct things for this technique. And of course we will have to pay attention to our leg motion, if we are using our leg or not. But to avoid this, we can also grab our leg and force it to stay firm. So we can hold it in this way and so in this way we're going to make sure that we're not pressing on the pedal and we're not involving the leg and the motion. So guys, these are the steps for you to work on the swivel technique, to understand what it is, why it benefits speed and power, and how to do it without hurting yourself.